Sweet taste.
Yeah.
Easy's good. What's up, guys? My name is Sean. I'm here with another episode, and I'm joined with Adam, Eddie, and Simon. They're all registered physiotherapists, sports physiotherapists. I'm really excited to do this episode. But before we start, I think you guys have seen the episodes before. We started to do a shot. Shall we start?
Choose your poison, Sean.
I'm gonna go with vodka. So.
My sponsor, Exo Cafe Patron. Shout out to them. I'll be doing one of these.
There we go. Quite big, these ones.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
Cheers. Cheers, mate. Eddie's got the third last bottle of Exo Cafe Patron in Hong Kong, so.
Sweet taste.
Yeah.
Easy's good.
The smell has bad memories for me.
It reminds me of those coffee Quality Street.
I know what
Quality
you're
Street,
yeah.
That's so good. They get eaten
Delicious.
first in my house.
So I want to get straight into it, guys. I think my first memory of going to physiotherapy was I think I had something wrong with my wrist, and they were doing like a little bit of ultrasound and some sort of like, I don't know what it was, some electrotherapy. As I grew older and got more injuries, I realized that like that kind of therapy changed, and I think being under your treatment, Adam, you've kind of pushed me to do a lot more movement-based stuff when I have an injury. Why is that? What's the reasoning behind like doing more movement these days?
Yeah, so it's really just based in science. So the scientific research now is really strong that we should be moving away from those modalities, as we call them. So we used to use, many years ago, electrotherapy, ice, I think interferential, heat guns, lasers, all that weird and wonderful stuff. And we used to use it a lot, but then even I've been qualified like 12 years, even when I was coming through, that was starting to change. And so we just know that from the research that when you try and treat someone's wrist with a laser or an ultrasound or whatever those machines are, that actually it doesn't really heal. It doesn't really help. There are really specific circumstances where it does help, but what you find is actually people just use it really generally across, oh, your wrist hurt, whether it's a day-old injury or a year-old, they just use the same thing, and that's not really what the science is. The science is all about, building up your robustness in your tissues, making your body stronger, by giving your wrist or your brain, in this case, a certain stress, then it'll adapt. So you become more tolerant of pain, your tissues become stronger, your bones become stronger, that helps to support each other, and that gives you just a much better outcome. So that's why the whole profession has really massively shifted from machine focus in like the 80s, 90s, and then especially like in the 2010s onwards, it's just an enormous research base around the importance of strength, mobility, exercise, encouraging your patients to stay active. If you can't do push-ups because your wrist hurt, find something you can do, encourage them to do that. That gets some good stress through your wrist, that helps it heal, the client feels better, the client remains active, which obviously fights off other issues. And so, the research is just a landslide towards being active, being strong, and trying to do as much as you can with some guidance, obviously, from your physio.
Yeah. I think also, I read recently an article, or is it Rebuilding Milo? Do you know that book that came out?
Yeah.
By Aaron Horsig. He talked about how there's so many players I know that play with who still use ice therapy, but apparently it stunts the healing process, if I'm not mistaken. Because I use ice just as an anesthetic, in the sense that just for pain, and then if the pain has gone away, I don't really ice it anymore. So I'm assuming
that's kind of what the research showed. Back in the day, we thought ice would help swelling and improve recovery, but then actually what they realised, it actually only helps with pain relief.
Okay.
So they kind of moved away from that when that research came out.
So is inflammation a good thing? Is it supposed to happen as part
Yeah,
of
so
the healing process?
it's the first start of it's the first stage of your healing process. So that's why they're keen for you to try and not use the ice. So for swelling, compression and elevation is by far the most effective. Like you say, ice feels nice and helps the pain settle, so that is good, but you still want to hammer it because a little bit of inflammation is actually really helpful to kickstart the healing.
Yeah. I guess if you think about it, your inflammatory process is this amazing thing that your body has evolved over millions of years, and you want to try and encourage that to kick in as much as possible, rather than maybe doing something which is going to interfere or hold it back. So yeah, I think what the guys are saying is like ice is great because it kind of numbs the pain a bit, but in terms of actually like alleviating swelling, I don't really think it's as effective as
No.
people maybe make it out to be.
Yeah.
Right.
It just feels nice because of that numbing effect.
Okay.
Yeah, inside.
You mentioned a good point there with how it's changing over time, and there's trends of research, and as research develops, they look into things more in depthly. And there's an interesting case study where a patient actually had 30 years of physio, and they had
Wow.
10 years of having manual therapy, and the first type you were talking about, and then it moved on to movement, and then they did 10 years of like movement-based therapy. And then actually the new trend was about pain science, learning neuroscience, and looking into pain mechanisms. And then they had a lot of pain education and pain reassurance. And then actually what it was is that this person had been passed from physio to physio through different trends, but actually their problem was a vascular nature and they didn't need physio.
Wow.
So that's really interesting. So our role as a clinician is to pick up things that we can help with, but know our scope of practice, know when things are not musculoskeletal related, sports related, and actually refer on to the right health practitioner.
Yeah.
Because you can, there'll be another trend at some point that physio will really get involved in, and you know, who knows what that will be, but
Yeah.
Whether it's
Yeah.
relevant to us or not.
yeah.
Like, yeah, I find it pretty incredible how, I mean, you can literally, like, I mean, I've been in pain with my knee before, and you've shown me one type of movement and there's no pain at all. Obviously I have to be diligent with the rehab process
Yeah.
itself, but I think people need to realize a little bit more that like there are movement-based exercises. If you are diligent with it, you can recover without it, without being invasive. And there's so many people. I made a post about it, about going into surgery.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that? Like telling clients maybe staying away from surgery. Like when is the point of contact where you think A, there should be surgery, should be number one because it's a trauma injury, a bad one, or B, you're an athlete and you have to return to injury as fast as you can. So between those two, would you say like that's the time that you should do surgery, or should it be based like what would you say?
I'd say it's complicated. It's injury specific. So we know that for someone like yourself, you know, you were young, you tore your ACL playing football, you really wanted to go back to play football, you're a trainer, so you're fit and active your whole life, you want to get it fixed, you're a great candidate for having that kind of surgery. Nowadays there is a lot more research to prove that so even for like ACLs, that if you actually manage the ACL well, and say your goal was, I just want to train 2 or 3 times a week and go for hikes at the weekend, which is what a ton of people in this city do, then actually you probably don't need your ACL. But because you wanted to go back to a competitive level of football, you know, trying to push for the Premiership team and things like that, then you're, again, you could maybe have tried going conservative, but you're a pretty good candidate for going for the surgical management. So from that point of view, it's all about what the client wants to get back to. Realistically, what are their levels of exercise? If you speak to anyone who's hurt themselves, they always want to come back and run a marathon, and then you're like, okay, cool, how many marathons do you run? Oh, I don't like running. And you're like, it's probably unrealistic you're going to run a marathon after you've torn your ACL, you know, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And so it's always about trying to understand what the time frames people have. Like if you're like, I can play football in 2 years, I'm willing to give it a crack for 4 to 6 months of conservative management of my ACL injury, and then I can always have it done in 6 months and see what happens. Then again, you could justify that fully because the research shows that tons of people feel asymptomatic and also feel really strong and confident on a non-operated leg. Whereas for some people, if you have true instability, so we call them like, again I use you as an example, but like you're either split into people who can cope without that ACL and people that can't. So even with the best physio in the world and you're the most diligent patient in the world, there comes a point where you're like, yes, I have no swelling, full movement, but my knee just feels really loose. It feels very unstable. You can feel the bones sliding around inside your leg. That's hugely disconcerting. And actually also we know that that makes people a bit more prone to kind of meniscal injuries and other such problems. So you're probably, you are a good candidate for surgery then. So that's why the conversation around, Sean, what do you want to do? How long have you got? What do you want to get back to? Where were you at before, realistically as well? all comes together with the research around that specific injury. So for you an ACL, but for some people a shoulder dislocation, for some people, you know, tibia fracture, and then trying to put it all together. But yeah, like Eddie was saying, with the scope of practice, it's about understanding your limits and knowing when to pull the plug on someone and say, actually, this is not going as well as I think it should, therefore I feel you should go and see a surgeon.
Yeah.
And that's really hard when you're a newbie physio, or yeah, I just think you need to have a little bit of humility, but also a lot of experience to be quite clear about that. Set the expectations with the client at the beginning. By 3 months, if you're not feeling this, we need to bin it. As long as I'm good and you're being good and we're doing it properly.
Yeah, interesting.
Because you meet a variety of people, they're at different stages of life and what they want to do, but also different stages of understanding about healthcare.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some people might come in with a strong belief that they need the surgery. So you're going to have a really interesting conversation exploring their beliefs about it and providing them the research out there and coming to a decision between the two of you, involving them in the process. Whereas someone may be really adamant on doesn't want surgery, so we've got to take these considerations in. Right, like we always involve the patients in that decision making and using the knowledge of the research to have a good discussion. Particularly,
Yeah, I also feel like, and these guys will definitely agree, in Hong Kong, people seem to, like, surgery seem to be rolled out a lot more frequently than we're certainly used to back home. I remember when I first started working here, like 3 years ago, I had a patient, she was in her 40s and she'd had both her knees replaced, which is
pretty rare.
Yeah.
Unless you've had a bad car accident or something, that's extremely rare. Or you've had some issue you've been born with that means you're...
Yeah, but as far as I'm aware, she was getting a bit of pain in her kneecap going downstairs.
And so she got it replaced?
Whoever she saw did an x-ray and thought, I can get this better for you by replacing both your knees.
Oh.
So
I'm
it's quite scary.
That scares me a lot.
Jeez.
Like that wouldn't happen in the UK.
And actually in the UK at the moment, and in Australia, they're with certain issues, you actually as a doctor have to document how many surgeries you're doing, and if they feel you're doing more than the research guides you to do, because they say 70% of knee pains don't need surgery, therefore if you're seeing 100 people and you've given 90 surgeries, then actually you're at threat of losing your license.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So they in the UK they're docking you your medical registration and black marking your name and all those things, keeping an eye on you because you're over surgerying people. You're operating too much.
It's like Hostel or Soul.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, come on in. That's why they all drive Bentleys, no joke. But yeah, so surgery definitely has a place. But here, you also see here, like I never see back home.
Oh, the MRI bags.
Everyone's just walking around with the bag. Like you know the big like medical, like MRI X-ray reports. You're like, oh, it feels funny, and they're like, cool, 10 grand MRI, let's go. And it's like, see so many people on the street with an MRI bag, and it's like, why?
IRAD.
Yeah.
They're the main culprits. I don't know who IRAD are.
But yeah, so that's
great advertising.
Yeah, it's so good. And like again, if you're back in the UK, you just, or if you're in Oz and stuff,
bags,
you just wouldn't do it. Yeah, exactly. It's like a little take-home bag from the doctors. But so yeah, it's
That's
just
crazy.
a very different environment here from a healthcare point of view than back home for us, which is the UK.
So would you say like the standard of physiotherapy here is a little bit, like I know obviously I'm talking from a sporting background, say for football, the standard isn't that great compared to Europe and the UK and stuff like that, or even in the US. Would you say physiotherapy is still at a lower level here? That's why you've got like a lot of like imports like you guys that come here because you have more experience from I guess people coming in and trauma injuries and whatnot. Is that what it is, or am I saying that?
Sorry, say the question again.
So what do you think like the level of physiotherapy is here compared to Europe and the US and Australia and South Africa?
I think people just do things differently in different parts of the world. I would say the American and the British and the Australian way of doing physio is very different to what's going on here in Hong Kong, and I'm not too sure about other parts of Asia. But I know us guys and our colleagues here at Joint Dynamics, there's a lot of emphasis on what you were saying earlier about like movement-based rehab, scientific evidence-based rehab. Whereas when I come here and I have patients who've been like, yeah, I used to see this local physio or this physio in Châtain or whatever, and they just kind of attached me to a machine for 1 hour and poked me with this thing for an hour. It's like, it's not to say that that's a different level, it's just a different way of doing things. And for that person who I just mentioned, it wasn't really what they were hoping to get from physio. Whereas other people may come and see us and be like, I went to see the physio and he just made me do exercises for an hour. Where was my ultrasound? Where was my infrared? That's what I'm coming for.
Yeah,
that's what I expect.
Yeah.
You know, you were talking, sorry to ramble on, but you were talking earlier about like these modalities. I remember being a new grad physio working in London, and I had this old guy with an Achilles tendon problem. And there was me, fresh face, bushy tail, trying to do everything by the book, be the world's best physio, do everything science-based. And he was like, I had this pain a few years ago. The physio just ultrasounded it and I got better. And I was like, well, mate, I hate to break it to you, but we've moved on from those days. You're going to do calf raises for days. Came back 2 weeks later, still no better. I really want you to ultrasound it. I was like, well, mate, don't give up yet. Blah, blah, blah. 2 weeks later, he comes back, he's like, mate, it's no better. And I'm like, right, let me go get the ultrasound machine. It's what he wants. I'm finally giving in. So I went and got this machine out. I had to, Chris Hall, I was like, Chris, where's the ultrasound machine? He's like, I don't even know if we have one. I need it, I promised him. So I dug in this cupboard, found this dusty old ultrasound machine, plugged it in, pressed the button, beep, it wasn't even working. But this guy was like wagging his Achilles tendon. Like, he'd been waiting a month for this, and I was like, I'm gonna have to do this. I stuck the gel on and just pretended to ultrasound his Achilles for 10 minutes. And then I was like, oh, the machine's, that's time up now. How does it feel? And he goes, wow, whew, that feels so much better. And he sprung out the floor. So it's not to say that, you know, there's different levels, it's just different ways of doing things, and in my opinion there's no right or wrong, it's about what works for the person.
I remember actually when, it was so funny, I think it was 1.5 or 2 weeks post-operation for my surgery, and I remember lying on this table, and I remember you saying, Adam, like, can you take pain? I was like, yeah, my pain tolerance is pretty good. And like, you took my knee and you bended it, and I was like, for fuck's sake, this is so painful. But I needed that because I would have never done it on my own.
Yeah.
My ex-girlfriend, she had knee surgery, and I think it was during COVID time, and the surgeon did her surgery and then just sent her back home with no advice, nothing, and like she texted me saying, hey Sean, like I'm not really I don't have any flexion in my knee anymore, blah blah blah. I was like, dude, you had like no guidance from the physio at all, or like any guidance at all, and then she had to do her surgery again. And so she was like lagged back. And I remember her telling me, she's like, I'm not really getting much out of this physio. He's just doing ultrasound and massage, and I'm just I'm plateauing.
Yeah.
So in my case, from experience, like I needed that. I needed to be pushed and go through that pain barrier for it to happen. Obviously with the guidance of, you know, you telling me like it's not going to tear.
Yeah.
In my head, I thought it was going to tear, but I didn't know anything, so.
I think it's the education around pushing people is by far probably our biggest gift that we give clients, is the time taken to explain. So Sean, I'm going to bend your knee. You are a bit soft, so that's fine. So it's going to hurt you, even though you've got a high pain threshold. But yeah, like just saying, you know, to bend your knee doesn't stress your ACL. Your ACL is stressed in these positions, therefore you're fine. And you know, you just spend time educating you and explaining to you why it's not going to hurt you and why it's not going to bother you, but it will be sore because of this, that, and the other. And so once you understand what I'm doing, why, and what you're expecting to feel, then you kind of relax. Obviously the first time you're still shitting it because your knee is the size of a house, you know, you're scared, you're worried, it doesn't like bending because it's painful, and I bend it and you're like, holy shit, I don't want to do this. But when you do it 5, 6, 10, 20 times, you relax a bit more, you stop guarding with your muscles, and then you can slowly get a little bit more motion. And so if I never told you what I was doing, how it was going to feel, what it's going to do to the ACL, all those things, you would have just locked your leg and just like gritted your teeth and you would have fought me. And so again, that education is massively important, and that carries across anything we do. the ability to educate your client on like what, when, why it's hurting, how we're going to get you better, how long it's going to take. There will be ups and downs, but we'll get you there. Whatever the education component in it, it's massive, because as everybody knows, if you're in pain, everybody is worried. Like, I tell people all day, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry, because I understand it. Yet when I'm in pain, I'm like, oh, it's bad. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's human nature. It's hard not to do that. When Simon hurt his hamstring, when Eddie, he's too fit, he doesn't hurt himself. I'm old, so I hurt myself a lot. But like, do you know what I mean? Like, even when we have it, we're like, oh, I don't know, this might be different to what I've told the last 54,000 people I've seen with this problem. It's different because it's me, and your head just runs. And so you need someone just to be like, you're going to be okay, mate. Don't be soft like Sean. You're going to be okay.
And it's the demonstration as well, and like the practice over time of demonstrating that they can do it, and then the response afterwards, oh, there's no bad response afterwards. Okay, immediately they realise, oh, it's safe to do. Mm-hmm. And so you're talking about the wrist right at the start. If you just had ultrasound, what we could do is, is actually take you in the gym, do movement, and prove to you that it is safe. Right. So we can do exercise in the gym and get you putting weight through the wrist again, and you can see in a demonstration that it's safe to do. And that's a reassurance as well. So we can give the verbal communication, but then the actual physical demonstration out in the gym using it is a massive reassurance as well. So that in combination is huge. Yeah. And then it's good to go, and then you can, once you practice on your own, then you're confident to do it at home or in your own gym setting. So
yeah, absolutely. If you hear it, and then you, like with you, remember the last time you came in and we just did a couple of things, and you like, why is it feeling so much better? And that's partly because we explain it and you understand, partly because I know what I'm doing, and then partly also because you're because like we're giving your nervous system really good stimulus that it enjoys. Like your nervous system loves to be proven correct. So like if you do lots of successful repetitions of exercise, your nervous system loves it and it adapts. If you do loads of reps of exercise that really hurts, the nervous system hates it, and it kind of becomes more and more painful.
You can,
so that's
you can see it like if you got burgled, you might put an alarm system in, and you get burgled again, you put another CCTV camera in, and then you get burgled again, you put another like a laser in, and then what you have is so much sense on that area, and all it takes is for the cat to walk past to set off the alarm. And so what you're doing is over repetition and reassurance is just turning off some of these CCTV cameras and sensors and reassuring the body that actually you're okay. And so you're winding down that nervous system response.
Yeah, and also like what Adam was saying earlier about like when you're in pain, you kind of jump to conclusions and start freaking out. Like, as Eddie's talking about with this alarm system, like, yeah, sure, the laser or the CCTV will go off if someone tries to break in again, but more often than not, it goes off when the cat's on the driveway or it's a gust of wind. And I think part of our job is, yes, don't get me wrong, someone comes in with neck pain, there is a chance it could be something horrendous, but 99.99% of the time it's usually something quite common or inconspicuous, and although to them it might feel like the end of the world and there's something bulging or pressing or about to fall out of their neck, it's like reassuring them that that's not the case.
Yeah. And then it goes on to sort of what's the context of the situation, because they may have an event coming up in 2 weeks, and then the pain feels even worse than it is because if you hurt just your ankle or you've got a big race in 2 weeks, then suddenly you've got this pressure to get it fixed as soon as possible, and I can't do that, or it might be meaningful like lifting up a kid and you can't do it, or one example is like if you're a violinist and you hurt your foot, it doesn't matter too much, but if you hurt your hand, that's significant, because then that's also your financial stability, your work, so these are things we're taking into consideration, like learning about the person, why is it meaningful to them, why is it important to them, how does it affect their life in other areas, not just physically but financially or relationships and things like that.
And all those things have a massive knock-on effect on how they present to you, but also how they recover. if you understand all those things that Eddie's talking about and you help to like conquer those fears with them through the education, proving both physically but also verbally to them that they can do all these things and all that, then they start to be like, oh, okay, cool. So I'll be able to play the concert in 2 weeks. That means I'll have some money. That means my husband won't kick off at me. Whatever it's going to be. It just kind of, you start to just chill out a bit, and then your nervous system calms down. And then even just by sitting and talking to people, they come in like they can barely move. You have a half an hour chat with them. They get up to lie on the bed, and they're like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you haven't even touched them. You haven't even assessed them. All you've done is talk to them,
That's so
and they
cool.
already move so much freer because they haven't got that kind of worry. They're just worried. You chat it through with them, and they just like saunter around, and you're like, you look so much better already. And they're like, oh yeah, I feel better actually. That's so good. And you're like, that's amazing. Look how amazing your body is. Trust your body. We will help you. Don't worry. And they're like, oh, okay, great.
That's
So even you can talk people better to a degree.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's almost like sometimes people, when they get like a normal massage, they feel really good. But
Yeah.
sometimes the massage, they feel so tight because
Yeah.
it must have spiked their nervous system that maybe it's too hard. They're like, oh fuck, I'm feeling
Yeah.
super tight in the shoulder.
Or they just don't like that particular type of
Yeah.
massage. It could be they are the best Thai massage, but if you don't like Thai massage, you're going to find it shit.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? 'Cause you're like, oh, what are they doing? Like, ow, oh, I don't like it. Get off me. What are you doing? You just want to have like someone swimming on your back. Because that's what do you know what I mean? That's what you like. You just like the breaststroke on the back. It's a nice aromatherapy. And you're like, yeah.
That's what you like, is it?
Hey,
Let's get you for Christmas.
I'm
then.
still waiting. Right, shall we?
Yeah.
Alright,
Cheers.
number 2.
There we are. It's good. So who's drunk the most?
What? We've got the same
On the
one.
podcast? No, on the podcast. On the podcast. Who's had
the
the
first one? Lewis and Russell.
The
We-
brothers.
The brothers, the
twins.
first one. We
Yeah.
went out and we just.
Oh,
long night afterwards. Yeah.
Okay.
Did you pay? Can we go?
the next one? Yeah.
Fair
We're
enough.
gonna do a Christmas special, so.
Ah, we'll put Eddie in as our chief drinker.
How much can you drink? Are you like the biggest drinker?
No, I mean I followed in Adam's footsteps my whole career. We were at the same university, same job after university. I got in contact with him to move out here.
Same
so
job after that as well.
Liverpool fans too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we even went to Madrid.
I remember.
From
Yes.
Hong Kong. Yeah,
24 hours in
trip.
Madrid.
Yeah, flew
That
from
was
Hong
so
Kong
good.
Friday night, got into Madrid 10 a.m. Did the fan zone all day, watched the match, stayed out until 3 or 4 in the morning celebrating with the fans, and then hopped back on the plane.
Wow.
Fell
And,
asleep in the kids' playground.
Yeah.
Just in the middle of
You
Madrid. I was
fallen
just
down the
like,
slide.
yeah, I was just like on the bottom of the
slide.
slide. I was like, I'm so emotionally and physically knackered with a couple of beers that yeah, I was just like, I am toast. And then Eddie like woke up wrapped around the seesaw, like it just, we're just so tired. And crawled to the
Straight back
airport
to
and
work.
slept on the
Can't
floor.
keep up.
Flew
Just-
back to here.
The drinking cultures. I don't know what age you guys started drinking in the UK, but. It's
Well, Simon's from Northern Ireland,
Okay,
so
so-
Yeah.
he's the chief drinker.
I was 11 when I first got drunk.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's pretty young.
I'm from Cambridge,
No
so it's
judgment.
probably 20 years old for me.
I remember. I saw. Do you remember Torres' first goal for Liverpool when he played against
Oh,
Chelsea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was on the train back with my dad from Liverpool to London, and this guy, I don't know how, I think it was a 2-hour journey, and we were just chatting all about like Liverpool players, managers, and like just opening up 1 beer and like 2 beers, like he was like 7 beers down. How you not wasted? I'm fine.
Was he Scouser or was he?
He was. I don't think he was Scouts, but he was a Liverpool fan.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
I've quit my job. I've left my girlfriend. I'm just traveling the world watching Liverpool play. I was like,
Wow.
You should
What
get him
a
on the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm so sporty. But that'd be good.
Mate, the internet's a great place. Just put it out there. Someone will find
We're
him.
looking for you.
Someone will find him.
Where is the random?
The random guy on the train that drank 7 beers.
I actually got that Torres haircut.
Did you?
I got the mullet.
The long one with the
Yeah,
blonde
the
hair.
mullet at the back. I'll have to show you afterwards. Or...
What?
We can put it on the podcast.
Do you want to
Come on.
Okay.
Did you?
Yeah, I was going to Spain when I was 17. And he just.
I've seen this program.
That is
And,
superb.
Here we go.
Yeah.
So I went to Tony and Guy, which is a bit of a pricey establishment.
Stylish.
Showed him a picture of Torres and said,
And so
yes,
I one of
please.
these, but it was one of the youth people working at the time trying to earn a few bucks. So She spent about 40 minutes just doing this fade and then mucked up and just got the shaver out and sheared me. But there you go.
Oh my.
So,
That's stunning.
It was good. You should wear it for Spartans. Let's go back.
we don't want to talk about Spartans. Albion beat us.
I know, I was
Again?
there.
3-0 in the final.
Oh,
Cup
mate,
last
a
year.
mauling, another mauling.
Outstanding performance. And
I mean, we
The
had
boys.
so many players though, so it was
yeah, you know, like a massive squad.
squad.
But you were brilliant because if someone came off, you're so organised, and then the sub came on, fitted into the system, and
Yeah.
we were like headless chickens.
Mm.
It was a good day out.
Amateur football. You go out afterwards.
Yeah. Sorry.
You probably didn't. You probably did like a 2-hour cool down.
Yeah.
Everyone was drinking electrolytes and having some food.
Following your rehab.
Meanwhile, the Spartans were like, town.
That's so good. I think we've covered everything pretty much, but I do want to cover one thing. So, from experience, what's the toughest part of your job, and what's the most enjoyable part of your job? Would you say? In a summary, in a nutshell.
You go first.
Yeah, I think definitely the most enjoyable is seeing the reaction of someone who has gone from quite a low mood and an unhappy place with where they're in their life, and working with them for a period of time, building that relationship, that rapport, and then achieving the goal that they never thought they would get, and just seeing that elation, that emotion. That's what I absolutely love. So if we work together for 3 or 4 months, 6 months, maybe sometimes a year, and then we achieve that, seeing their face, seeing how happy they are, seeing what a change in their life, that I absolutely love that. For me.
especially like to steal Jurgen Klopp's like your clients who are doubters and turning them into believers, and then they actually like live it. Do you know what I mean? Like Eddie says, they're like, oh, I don't think physio's going to help. Like it's not helped me before, and then you fix them and they run a 100k race or play football or whatever it is, and then you're just like, it's great. It's really, really rewarding.
Yeah, it is a rewarding job, for sure.
Yeah.
The hard bit is when they're not ready to do what they need to do to get better. But that's
you know
a good
you
challenge.
can help them.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sitting there thinking, I can definitely help you, but you're just not in the right headspace for me to help you. And I'm pretty sure you're never going to come back and see me again, even though I know I can help you.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
So hitting that link in the first session and getting an understanding, an equal understanding of the situation, and both being bought into what needs to be done to get better, and that you have to adapt to what the person in front of you, and if they're really not ready for it, but they seem that they want it, but they're not ready for it, actually trying to get them in a place where they understand the commitment, the expectation, what they need to do, accept their situation, move forward to something that they want to get. It's enjoyable when it's really hard, it's challenging, but when you get that, that's another great moment. But that's probably one of the hard bits, if they're not ready and they're coming back with the same things and you're giving them the answer to the question, they're not quite hearing it.
Yeah.
You're hitting a bit of a block. Just trying to delve in a bit deeper, find out how you can get through to them. Yeah, it's
I'd
fun.
say
It's a bit of a challenge,
Yeah.
yeah. Because you get people coming in and they've got like predisposed beliefs about their injury or pain or physio or exercise or movement potentially being like harmful or dangerous or whatever. And yeah, I would say definitely the most rewarding part of the job is whenever you can kind of convert someone like that to maybe a different way of thinking through challenging their beliefs and then getting them out the other side better than they thought they would have. But I think as Eddie's saying there, like we do get a lot of people who are just so stuck in their ways or so got such strong beliefs that they're just not ready for it.
And we would never get those people better because they just don't trust or believe what we're doing. So going back to that psyche, you know, if your belief is that ultrasound cures you, then going to the gym and doing all the stuff we know from the science helps Achilles is not that helpful.
Yeah.
Because you'll just be like, why am I doing this? It's not helping, it's not helping, it's not helping, and you just kind of drill your mind to be like, it's not helping, and your brain is unbelievably powerful. So yeah, those challenging clients. And the other thing that annoys me is, that doesn't annoy me so much because that's kind of, in a way, not their fault, it's like their environmental and all that, is you spend ages getting the doubter to a believer, and you start and you're doing really well, and it's going really well, and then they'll go and see a doctor. It happens in the UK, not in Hong Kong, and the doctor's like, oh, you shouldn't play football anymore, it's bad for your knee. And they're like, well, actually, even though I've progressed so much under you and I'm doing so well, I'm not doing it anymore because the doctor said it's bad. And you're like, but I've just proven to you, like for the last 3 months you're doing so well. And they're like, yeah, but the doctor says it's bad. And just that, the ultimate power of a doctor really annoys me, because I'm like, but I'm the one getting you better. I'm the one helping you. I'm the one giving you your life back. I'm the one giving you quality of life. I'm the one making you do things you enjoy, giving you your football back. And now the doctor's just said, don't play football, and you're just going to stop? Like, why are you quitting? Do you know what I mean? And they're like, yeah, but the doctor said, and you're just a physio. And it's like, but that drives me mental.
Even from a non-physio standpoint, I mean, coming from a PT background, it frustrates me a lot, because I want to recommend to people to you, because I know you guys are the best, and from experience I've improved, and it's frustrating because they're stuck in their own ways, and I know they can get better if they come to you guys. And it's like, no, they're gonna pay a lot of money to see doctors, get MRIs, do this, get on anti-inflammatories, and I'm like, just try it for X amount of months, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but
it's a very good chance it will.
It will work, exactly.
Exactly.
So that's the thing, and like, only up until recently, like up until I've been studying a little bit more with books and reading and education, and Johnny, my brother, telling me a bit more, like, I'm a big proponent of physiotherapy. And it needs to be, in my industry, in the PT world, we need to read up upon it, we need to be more educated on it, and tell our clients a bit more, because we're always going to be prone to injury, and there's always going to be imbalance until the day, like, you die, whatever it is. It's just minimizing that imbalance and kind of making your life as good as it can get, whatever sport or normal life that you live.
Definitely. And also, traditionally, a lot of trainers have been nervous about sending their clients to physios, because again, 20 years ago, physios would be like, oh, it hurts when you shoulder press, stop shoulder pressing. Why don't you stop going to your personal trainer? And the trainer's like, mate, you're killing me here. Like, generally, people who are trainers earn more money the more they see clients, and obviously they're invested in the client's goals. Clients have body comp goals or athletic goals or whatever, and then the physio's like, it's like the same with me with the doctors. If they're like, stop running, and I'm like, oh. Same if they traditionally go to a physio and the physio's like, stop PT. Like, it's just not helpful.
We want to get them back to seeing you guys.
Exactly. We're always like, keep seeing Sean. Sean, we're just going to tweak one or two things. We're still going to do pressing. We'll just go lighter or less range or less volume, but we're still going to press, or we change the angle, or whatever variables we play around with. But the conversation should be very open. I should never try and stop someone training. The other health benefits of seeing you, rather than just becoming stronger, you know, mental, cardiovascular, you know, all those benefits are still massively important. So we should always be encouraging people to be active no matter what the issue is. Because even if you're in a cast, you can do upper body, you can do some core, do you know what I mean? You can go, like, you can do stuff. You can do stuff, and it's still good for your mental health to feel like you're doing something, rather than just being like, stop everything. When the cast is off, you can do a little bit of fuck all. Do you know what I mean? It's not helpful for anyone.
It's a good time, everyone's busy, so we don't have time to do extras, but when you have those big injuries, you suddenly get a big extra lump of time in your week. So you can use that for something pretty amazing and work on other areas that you wouldn't normally have time for, and improve yourself in that way. Definitely.
Awesome.
What's your experience of physio, Sean? Obviously biased because I'm looking at you, but no, do you reckon having your journey, because it's a significant injury both from physical, but also I always find that Achilles, shoulder dislocations, ACLs, those, you know, big fib fractures, so big, you know, leg breaks, things like that. The rehab journey length is so long. It's basically impossible not to go through highs and lows. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's practically a year. So obviously you see us a lot, and we do lots of things, and we try lots of things, and we succeed in lots, and we fail in some. But like, I just wonder, from your point of view, how did you find it? Did your opinion of physio and also like rehab change from pre to post surgery? From like pre-injury to being discharged, so to speak.
Yeah, it definitely did change, but on a positive note, because I learned so much. I mean, from the exercises to what to eat, what not to do, and to do. I was like, oh, I'm learning. Like it's almost like every time I came into a session with you, I was trying to like I was like a sponge trying to pick up all these exercises and be like, okay, if I can write it down or remember it, and I could use it on other clients if they have some sort of knee pain. I mean, I can't really screen because I'm not like educated as well as you guys, but it was really impressive. And like I started at the beginning, it was hard because you know you're playing like every single week and then you're not playing anymore. But I enjoyed the process. I'm like, okay, this is interesting to me.
Yeah.
And like, I need to spread the word.
Yeah.
And like I'll start posting stuff about this, and
Yeah.
once you start posting it, people will be like this. And I got a lot of feedback from it, and people are now coming to me, and I'm just posting just because I think it's interesting. And be like, I had AC joint injury too. This is what can happen. And I've had one guy recently come to me, and I'm like, okay, like here's a recommendation for physio. So that's what it is. To sum it up, really, I think like you guys are like kind of unsung heroes in a way. Not to be so biased, but it is what it is. I really believe in that, and I think the more you educate people, going back on that point, you can steer away from people making, I won't say bad decisions, but bigger decisions that could detriment their longevity and what they do. You know, like going into making decisions in surgery. I was also close to having surgery on my shoulder not too long ago. Very close, but I didn't. And now I'm 90% to pressing. I can box. I can do a lot of things that I would laugh, but physio helped. So, and I'm not only one example. There must be, you have clients that probably have all the same experience.
Yeah, we had a guy in this week who had been told by 2 doctors to get a knee replacement, and then we discussed with him the options, and he was like, I don't want surgery, so we're like, yeah, let's go for it. And he's worked really hard, 3 months, and now he's got no pain. He had a consultant with a UK consultant online who said, let's just give physio a go, and now he's pain free and he's not going for the surgery, and he's hiking long distances and enjoying himself. So that is amazing that we can have that. It takes time. You have to understand it takes time and commit to that. But yeah.
But the other thing is like surgery is, if you want surgery or you say you've been told you need surgery now, there is no harm in trying not having surgery for 3 months, because that surgery option is always there for you. Whether you want it in 20 years or 3 months, it's always there for you. Therefore, why not just try? Be diligent, try. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's fine. We can't fix everyone. We as physios know that. But then at least you go into your surgery being like, do you know what, I need this because I gave it a good shot with a physio I trust and I couldn't get there, so I need this surgery. Happy days. Whereas if you go in and you're not convinced and you feel like you're being pushed in a bit, again, it affects your recovery a lot.
And then if you do need the surgery, you've come out the other side with the strongest, most flexible, most used body that you can beforehand, so your rehab recovery is going to be better. Rather than doing nothing for 2 months, it gets weak, it gets tight, you put on a bit of weight, you lose your fitness, you're in pain, then you come out of surgery and you're in even more pain, it gets even weaker in those 2 weeks after surgery, and then it's really difficult. So that rehab option is so important.
Try it, I would say. For anyone who's got a niggle, or even what they consider like a serious issue, unless you've been like hit by a car, fine, but like genuinely just try for a few months a physio you trust, who you feel is reputable, and then just try it for 3 months. Be diligent, be honest with yourself, and then you can always reassess at the end of 3 months and be like, do you know what, I'm way better, but I'm not where I want to be, or just it's not worked, fine. Or for a lot of people, they'll come out and be like, I really, really don't need surgery. Like, I'm basically back to where I was. Surgery seems a silly option. So just try.
And it might be like, for example, you're like 90% better, but then you've made such a good improvement. Just keep going, and then maybe in another 3 to 6 months, you'll be 100% better.
Wouldn't put it out. Wouldn't doubt it, right?
And also, if you have surgery now, you're going to go from boxing to not allowed to box for 6 to 8 weeks. Your shoulder's going to decondition because you're not allowed to do anything, or you're allowed to do basic stuff, but you need to be respectful for the sutures and the surgery and things. So you'll actually go from functional here to drop to then hopefully get back to 90% again. And whereas actually you're already there. So just enjoy it. And you save 200 grand, so great.
And a lot of people are going to have to do the physio post-op anyway.
So you might as well do the physio. Yeah, exactly. You've got to do the physio post-op. You may as well do it pre-op and see if you avoid the op.
Exactly.
Just get a physio you trust. And that's it.
Enjoy dynamics, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
You know where to go.
The only place to come. For shoulders, see him, not me.
I think that's it, guys. Thanks for coming on. That was an awesome episode.
Pleasure.
Yeah, it was
enjoyed
good.
Perfect.
Really good. Cheers, lads. Cheers. Thank you, Sean.
Cheers.
Thank you,
Cheers,
Sean.
Sean. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, boys.
To your health.
It's quite nice.
Yeah, that's good.
It's a classy tip for me.